Alright, so we're in the Jimny Wide. This one's automatic. We're going to take it and park up so I can make a quick video about it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have a chance to drive it in this video, but I'll do my very best. We'll see if the sun holds up a little bit for us to do it and maybe get some rollers of it. But I just wanted to get a video of this before it was too late or it was sold, so you guys get a general idea of what the heck a Jimny Wide is, because I'm sure you've seen the videos on my other Jimneys, but I don't think you've seen a video on my channel at least on what a Jimny Wide is. So let's give it to you now. So here we have it. We have Rob's white Jimny Wide that just literally came off the boat on Tuesday. Today's Saturday. I don't even know, February maybe 21st or 22nd. And so I just wanted to show it to you so you can kind of get an idea of what a wide is. You've seen the Jimneys on my channel before, and you know that they're really cool. They're very off-road capable, but these wides are even more cooler and even more off-road capable. But the biggest thing that makes the wide so much different than what a regular Jimny would be is what's underneath the hood. I keep forgetting that the Jimneys have the hood prop on the passenger side. Sorry for the sun glare. We're right at sunset here, but let's pop this hood open. But that's basically the biggest difference between the Jimny and then the Jimny Wide, is that it's got, let's see if you see it. I'm sorry, it's got a 1300cc engine, not a 1000, because I thought it was a 1000, so correction on my part, but it's a 1300cc engine, which is 16 valves, so no turbo on this. But I think the reason they basically decided to do no turbo on this was because it was already 1300 cc's. I think it would have been baller if they had the turbo to it. There may be a variant out there that does exist, or maybe people do put turbos on these, but as far as I'm aware, I think they only came in the 1.3. So it is a four-cylinder, no, it is a four-cylinder engine. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 4 cylinders, it's 1300 cc's, and it's just got the power to really go much faster than what a regular Jimny would go. I apologize if it's windy here. I'm right at the harbor here in Mamaroneck, so we catch the wind. Hopefully my video isn't too windy, but yeah, that's the biggest difference. And there's much more, but that's the biggest difference of what a regular Jimny is and a Jimny Wide. Other differences, they probably came with a different axle. They obviously much wider than the regular Jimneys. You could see that they have the fender flares, which pop it out, so significantly wider. And I'm sure somebody will comment in the comments below and tell me. But overall, it's got wider hips on it than the other Jimneys do. But this thing is pretty cool. It still shares the same body. So what's interesting about it is, if you look in the interior, it's basically still the same like a regular Jimny Kei car, which that to me is the funniest thing about these cars when they make them, or these wides I should say, variants of the cars that you make. Like I have the Town Box Wide, but Nick had the Town Box, and if you look inside and you sit inside, it's literally all the same, except in the Town Box Wide there's the extra 2 seats in the rear. So in this one, it just happens to just be different cloth interior. This one happens to not have an airbag, neither here nor there, so it was not the airbag model. This one happens to be automatic. So let's see, it just looks like it is a 4-speed. So you have D, then you have overdrive that you can turn off, and then you have 2, and then L, which in that case would be 1. So it's a 4-speed transmission, which is pretty cool. The kilometers go to 160 instead of to the normal K spec, which is 140, but we all know that you can only hit about 130 before fuel cuts. I'm curious to know what the fuel cut is on this. I guess we'll have to try and test it. So the mileage on this one is 84,538,000 kilometers. And let's see when the last time it was reset. Oh, about 250 kilometers ago. And this one's about 7,300 kilometers ago. This is always cool when I flip through this, because then it tells me, you know, if the battery's dead, first of all, or if it was reset. It does have the little compartment here, exactly like the other Jimny, sort of the nakeds now, and then your glove box. No center console. You still have your Prindle to go from low to four-wheel high, and then there is a 4-wheel low, which you press and pull all the way back, and that puts you into low. I believe these, you don't have to lock the hubs. I believe they're automatic locking hubs. Then you have your Prindle, which is exactly the same on the automatic Jimny Kei variants of this vehicle. But I love the interior. It's very subtle. It's almost like a cream with this hints of blue. It doesn't scream anything crazy. This did come with a radio that has what looks to be like navigation and TV. I was playing the movie Aladdin earlier. I won't play it right now because I don't want to get demonetized by that. You still have your air conditioning controls, which is still the same. Your horn, your emergency hazards. I'm not quite sure what they did here, but maybe it looks like something was here before. I don't know, maybe it can't be a boost gauge because it doesn't have a turbo, but maybe they had some sort of accessories that they did here, and it looks like they might have had something here too. But this does have the fog lights, which are aftermarket, and I'll show you that afterwards. But everything else is pretty much the same thing. So I'm 6 feet tall. I got about maybe 3 inches up above me, and then this is very comfortable. I think my biggest complaint with the Jimneys in general are the foot wheel wells here. Or not the Jimneys, but just this Jimny. For some reason, you know what it probably is because this is a transmission tunnel. Maybe the transmission on the Wide is a little bit girthier than the transmission on the regular ones, but it's cool because they did this aftermarket deadman switch or deadman pedal. It looks like it's just missing one clip. It can be replaced very easily, but that's cool. But it's kind of annoying because my foot kind of sits there, so I can only imagine the 5-speed one doesn't have that. But yeah, that's wider. It seems a lot wider. Seat wise, the rear is still about the same because it's literally the same thing. They just transplanted a bigger engine and a bigger transmission. So I think the differences would be the transmission tunnel is a little girthier on this one. So if we get out, we can go to the rear because I think the rear has what's pretty cool. Unfortunately, on this one, it does it like on all the other Jimneys. When they get used a lot, these seats the bolsters on the sides tend to wear out. It's not uncomfortable, to be honest. Maybe if you're a bigger person and, you know, your rolls kind of slouch over this way, that might be something that affects you. No offense to you. I don't mean to offend anybody when I say that. Move my backpack out of the way. But still acts and functions the same way. I'm curious to know, though, if they have speakers. It looks like they do. I would hope that this Wide did. It's funny because the Town Box Wide that I have, it's a Town Box Wide, but it does not come with speakers, which is pretty nuts to me. So here's the same thing as the Jimneys. We'll undo the seats so you guys get an idea. We'll pull this back. We'll pull this forward over here. And then you get under here, and I like to pull these forward so you can kind of get an idea as to what's under here. And it looks like it's very clean. Looks like it's got some sort of wires that go to the back. I'm not quite certain as to what those were. Maybe they had a roof rack on the top before. Again, this is something that maybe follows to where they had maybe accessories on it, but you put this down, and then it looks like you can undo this guy over here. Well, let's see if I can figure it out. Wow, I can't. At least not one-handed. Let me try this. So I needed 2 hands for that. So it looks like you can set this down all the way. Oh, that's pretty cool what they did here. They made it a shelf so that you could have a flat surface to put things all the way to the back. It looks like it does unvelcro, and if you really wanted to, it looks like you can probably just take this off from there. Oh, it's actually bolted on, so my apologies. You can't just take that off. But if you put both these seats down, it's probably a way for you to have a level space instead of having like you normally would this, where you can't really do anything with it and it's kind of funky. But that's interesting. Maybe this is also meant for, I don't know. Wow, I really don't know. But you just simply put this clip back on there and you're good to go. And then this is what's so interesting to me. These seats, I guess that's the pull tab. I wonder what this is for. I saw this on my other Jimny as well, and I didn't understand what it was for. Maybe it's got a purpose for when this, oh, let's see. When this is down, oh, now I get it. So that this doesn't move back and forth. Okay, I'm learning new things as I'm making this video. So that's so this doesn't move too forward. It actually holds in place there. Probably when you're hauling cargo or something, that can stay in place. So that just goes back in here. Put that back in there. That stays like that. Then you move your seatbelt things out of the way. You put this down, you grab your seatbelt, move those out of the way, and set that down. And then put your headrest back on, and Bob's your uncle. It does still have the stash tray, which I have yet to figure out. I really would love to know if somebody in Japan will tell me, or if anybody that owns a Wide and is an avid, or not Wide, but Jimny owner that knows what those are for. Under here, obviously, there's not much space in these because they're so high off the ground. But it looks like you have the jack, and then you have the other stash compartment, and then you have these two things. Overall, the interior is in pretty good shape. It's nothing crazy, not like the other Jimneys. The up above is nice and clean. The headliner does not look like it was a smoker's car. Usually the telltale signs if it was a smoker's car is if we come to the driver's side or the passenger side, if there's any burn marks. Sorry, my backpack keeps being in the way. If there's any burn marks on the seats, they would usually tell us if they had, if it was a smoker's car. So it just freshly got detailed. That's why this towel's there. So when you drive, your butt doesn't get wet. I think the only flaw and downside would be you'll probably have to get some floor mats. It looks like from Japan they didn't come with it, but that's something that's kind of standard. People sometimes take those. And so it looks, that's pretty cool. I opened this up and it found us some goodies. I think of another truck that might have been for sale at the auction, or somebody maybe who owned this Jimny was taking a look at it. Well, that's interesting. It's always fun to find like Easter eggs, or not Easter eggs, but hidden things that somebody in Japan might have been looking at. Attilis, if you're watching this video, it kind of reminds me of the Atlases, except it's not a pass-through. It just looks like a box truck. So maybe somebody was looking to purchase that box truck, but it does look like it's got not a wire mess, but at some point it probably had an ETC reader is what it looks like. Or you know what, this actually might be stuff to do with the radio, which in this case, as a new owner, you'll probably just have to get rid of all that stuff when you install an American radio. But otherwise, pretty clean under there. Push that back up, put the registration back in there and those nice photos. Let's see. Oh, they do have a Second Amendment tray. Oh, no way. I don't think Rob knows that this is here or that this exists. So that's pretty cool. Little baby jumper cables. I don't know what you're gonna really do with that. And then your tire iron. But I think this is a shovel, which would fit the criteria for this Jimny, because I'll show you the underside. But this thing's lifted and it's got, I think it's on its winter tires. And in Japan, oh yeah, it is a shovel. Look at this. So it's got a shovel in there. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it'll be part of the sale. I guess we'll have to ask Rob, but there is jumper cables in here. Let me zip this back up and close. We got it back in there. If you know what I mean by Second Amendment stash tray, you know what I mean. And like I said, every single Jimny that I've seen has this issue where the elastics just give out. It's just unfortunate. I think that was the biggest flaw design on Suzuki's part. But yeah, so it looks like air conditioner filter replaced 2025 at 84,000 kilometers. So the air conditioning filter has been replaced. Let's see if any other service has been done. Yep, looks like probably an oil change is what it looks like. So it's got a fresh oil change, which is really good. It was done at 84129 and it's currently at 84538. So that's good. It's a really good sign. You got your fog light switch there. It does come with two keys, which is cool. The original key, which I think he needs to get a battery for because it's not clicking or unlocking the doors, I should say. But that's pretty much for the interior. Exterior, I kind of showed you the engine bay. It looks like it might have been painted at some point. That's very notorious of Japan to do, or maybe it just needs a really good cleaning, because that might just be when somebody took it off-roading. But engine sounds like it's running in good, healthy condition. Transmission shifting well. And look, it's not a K-spec battery. It's like a full-size battery. That's crazy. First time I see that. But let me close the hood and then I'll show you the rest. Okay, known imperfections. It looks like this might need new one of these grills. I don't know that Rob's going to look for that. I don't think it's a big deterring point for anything. It does have this really cool bash bar aftermarket bumper. So if you've seen the other Jimnys, it's usually just like a plastic bumper, but this is metal, which is really cool. And it's really solid, heavy metal. I don't think it's meant for a winch, but they put these aftermarket yellow fog lights, which are really cool. You do have a Moon Ice sticker on there. It is a sticker, not a magnet. And then obviously for the JDM plates, you can bolt them up. You can get adapters for American plates. But let's go over the exterior. It looks like this was hit with some nice cleaner, so those nice bright and shiny. Again, I showed this where in the variants that are left-hand drive, you can switch the wipers, which is really interesting. Couple flaws here, little scratches, things that are normal for a vehicle that's over 25 years old. Little imperfection there on the hood. As far as the door goes, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. Obviously, rubbers that are going to fade over time. The window rain guards are actually in really, they're solid. They're solid plastic. They're huge. Roof overall looks good. The only thing that I noticed about it was this part. It's missing the cover that was there, but the roof rack is there, which is really cool. I'm trying to convince Rob to get a basket and put a basket on this. It's got the original tri-spokes, which are really cool. And the size for those tires, this tire's shot, so it needs to get replaced. I'm not sure that Rob's going to be doing that, but if you want to replace all 5 tires, you can. It looks like they got 205 1715s. I speculate this was their winter setup, because if you look at this car, the tire mount is up higher, and so it's sitting much higher. So I think they had a bigger wheel and rim setup. Unfortunately, when it was bought, it did not come with it. Any other flaws that I can point out? Just some imperfections. It might have been repainted at some point, is what this shows, but it's nothing crazy. Like, the paint's not bubbling or anything. The Suzuki emblems are painted black, which is really cool. And this one does say wide, which is awesome. On this side, the driver's side, the only imperfection that I noticed are just like in the plastics. You can kind of see them where they were touched up, but it doesn't take away from what this vehicle's really truly about. Just normal wear and tears from when your feet come in and out of the car. Let's see the gas cap area. Looks nice and clean. Nothing crazy to report by there. It's cool that it comes with this like trim plastic piece that goes along with the entirety of the wide. I think in Japan, when you say wide, they notice it, and they don't notice it, but they do this where they just put a wide fender flare kit on all their cars that they consider wide. But if we go to the underside, this is really where the money's at. So it's definitely sitting on some sort of lift. I'm not sure how high from the stock height, but it looks like it was done right. It does look like it was painted, so the underside was probably coated because they didn't want this to rot out, which good on the part of the previous owner. So you got that side, you got this side. Nothing crazy to report on the underside as far as the engine goes. It looks to be like all in pretty good shape. Nothing's leaking, nothing's showing that anything that would worry me. So that's a great thing. These are, let's check to see if these are the same size. 205 7015s, which is a pretty common enough size where you can get them stateside and you can get them a little nubbier. I had a Jimny that I put, I think 235s, and it did great with it on the same tri-spoke wheels. So yeah, it was undercoated, and the undercoating looks like they did a great job. Let's see, areas of notorious, it's been coated, so nothing that I push on or touch that worries me of rot or rust. But I think it even might be sitting, no, it's not a body lift, it's definitely just a regular lift. And then I open these to help me lean down under here. Looks like stock bumper, but yeah, so it definitely is sitting on a lift. The whole underside is pretty immaculate, which is awesome. So it's an RPG lift of some sort, and the rear end is pretty good condition as well. So overall, this Jimny Wide is pretty freaking nuts, and it's great. This is for sale. I believe Rob is going to be asking $9,500. I'll state that again at the end of my video, but again, no crazy rust or rot to report about. Looks like they might have, besides undercoating it with the paint, they might have put regular undercoating, but it looks to be in great shape. And yes, these are automatic locking hubs. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you about this car other than it's pretty baller. It's cool. The fan shroud comes down all the way down there, but overall great. Let's see if I can take it on a driving portion so you can kind of get an idea of what this can and cannot do. No promises. I guess if you see the driving portion, it'll be at the end of this video. Just driving it back to meet up with Rob and Savi. This is where I'll ask them to see if we can go for a drive if they're interested, because I'm picking up 2 other cars here in Mamaroneck from the detailers. They have the Jimny Wide, or they had this one that they just finished, but then they also had the Naked, and then the Atri's back from the mechanic. So if you caught my video about it needing to be at the mechanics, it's back from the mechanics and it's running great. I absolutely love Atri Classics. This is like my 4th Atri Classic, but they're all in pretty great shape. So we're gonna talk to Rob and Savi and see what they say. You see Rob smile. Also, I just had to, because we have a snowbank. By the way, this wheel is free hanging right now. But if this doesn't tell you what a Jimny is capable of doing, look at that tuck. And look at this wheel. Also, yeah, that's pretty freaking nuts. I think that's my thumbnail right there. So, very, very capable little cars. That's for dang sure. That's how light it is. That's insane. That's nuts. So sensual over here, Rob. So you've owned it for a couple days, but how much have you driven it?
Oh, I drove every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Oh, it's pretty cool. I actually like it a lot. I almost want to keep it, but it's got to go.
Yeah, he's got too many cars, so it's got to go.
I only got 14, 15 cars.
Right.
It's got to go.
Yeah, it's got to go. So
definitely a cool car. Definitely a keeper. You know, it's fun to drive.
Yeah.
Nice and wide.
Yeah, literally stupid. But yeah, oh, you can see where they did not coat it. So it used to be white in certain spaces, or places, I should say. And there's a VIN, if you're curious to know. It is JB33W109185. But yeah, so all right, we're gonna go for a driving aspect of it. I need to get a ladder to get back in this Jimny because of where I've parked it. Oh, I didn't realize I left it in drive that entire time. That's a little scary, but let me back it on out of here. That's pretty cool. This engages 4-wheel drive, and off we go. So for all those avid followers, if you're still watching this video, or those people that are intrigued by the Jimny Wide and you're watching this video, shout out to you. We're headed on the highway to try and get this thing up to speed to see what a Jimny Wide is all about. So bear with me. Right now we're at 40 kilometers and just driving through town, and it cruises really nicely. I like it. I actually like a wide. I don't, maybe Mendy Imports needs to buy himself a wide, so maybe in the future. So yeah. It's funny, Savi's in the Naked and he's huge inside that Naked. I can only imagine how big I look inside there. But yeah, can't wait to make a whole video about the Naked. But for now, we're gonna get on the highway and show you what the Jimny Wide's all about. So here it is. We're cruising on the highway at 100 kilometers per hour. 110. We're keeping up with traffic, and you can definitely tell it's got more than this. That's not all it has left to it or with it. We're only at around 3,200 RPMs, or 3,200 RPMs, which is pretty great. Normally on a K car would be, probably if we were on 5th gear around 100,000 kilometers, we'd be closer to 4 to 4,500. I wish we didn't have as much traffic so I could really open it up. So I don't know if this will give you the full idea of what this is really capable of or what it can do. But I'll just tell you that it does have the ability to drive on the highway.